Hi, I'm Warren with the Drain Brain. Today we're going to be demonstrating some of our camera equipment and how we utilize it to investigate pipes. First, we need to gain access, usually through a cleanout. Sometimes we have to take pipes apart or even cut them. In this case, they were nice enough to leave us a nice threaded plug. Once that's removed, we have clear access. Now we can take the camera, which is this device. It's on a spring, so it's nice and flexible. It can go through the pipe. It's pushed by a fiberglass rod attached to the end, and it has its own lights and a very high definition lens. Reaches out to about 160, 165 feet, so usually in your typical residential, commercial, industrial application, distance isn't a problem. This is then tied to a monitor, which we can watch and observe as we go down through the pipe, and we also have the capability of recording it to a CD or a DVD. We just zeroed out our footage, so now we know how far we're going in. As we continue to advance the camera, we'll see that number increase. You just saw it go to 1, and now it'll be 2 here in a second, and right there, so we know we're 2 feet into the pipe. And we're continuing to go through. We can see that there's some buildup on the side of the pipe here. See all that crusty stuff just kind of hanging on the edges? A lot of people don't realize that our pipes, just like our arteries in our body, the clogs and the stuff that go down the pipe will actually coat the entire inside of the pipe, not just sit on the bottom of the pipe. So in effect, a lot of times, the pipe is actually getting smaller and smaller diameter due to the stuff just collecting on the insides. And here we are at 6 feet. There's a little bit of a gouge of something in the stuff there on the right that we saw. And here, the bottom is actually at 9 o'clock. See that water? So the water is coming up on the camera. Look at all that gook on the top. So there's a lot of sludge in this pipe. We're going right underneath the sludge. The water is kind of clear here, which is nice, so we can still see. But all of that stuff to the right at about 2 or 3 o'clock, that's sludge floating on top of the water. And we've got maybe 1.5 inches of space here where we're going underneath the water. We're at 10 feet right now. And so we started with the water at about 8, so we've got at least 3-foot belly here that's always going to have standing water in it, unless we've got a restriction or a clog further ahead of us where the water's as clear as it is. I don't think that's the case, but we'll find out here in a couple of minutes as we continue pushing. So we've still, in the belly, we still have what looks like a little bit clearer water above us. I don't see so much sludge here, and actually I see that ripple right there. That's telling me that we're coming up close. Yep, we're going to come out of the water here in a second. So at 14 feet, 15 feet, actually, we're out of the belly, so we got about a 7-foot belly. And here, our pipe's going away. What do we got? Okay, we're looking at a structure here. See how that just fell off right there at 5 o'clock? There's no more pipe here. And what we're looking at is a bunch of sludge inside of a structure, which must be the septic tank. At 11 o'clock or so, you can see that what appears to be a flat surface. I would say that's probably the top of the surface tank, or the septic tank. So there's a bunch of foam and junk and stuff inside the tank just ahead of us. We don't want to push the camera off the edge. There's really no need to. We're not going to see anything if we get involved in that, so we're just going to come back at this point. Now that we've identified the problem, let's fix it. Now we're going to remove the camera and the electronic equipment, get it out of the way, because we're going to have to run a snake and water through the pipe in order to get that done. Now that we've identified the problem, we need to clear the pipe and clean the pipe as good as we possibly can, given its condition and its defect. We're going to do that by running a snake and water at the same time. The snake is actually going to disturb and stir and create all kinds of turmoil inside the pipe. It's going to be flopping around and stirring things up, loosening things, scraping the inside of the pipe. Any accumulation that's been on the side of the pipe is going to get scraped off, and then it's going to get flushed out with the water that we'll be introducing at the same time. Typically, you're not going to find this kind of equipment at the Home Depot or one of your local rental stores. They do have larger snakes for rent at your local rental stores that will sometimes get a job done, but it's more than just the equipment or just the tools. It's knowing how to use them and use them effectively as well without damaging the customer's home or piping, and more importantly, not getting hurt or hurting someone else as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get, first of all, some water down here just to get the end of it cleaned out so we're not dumping any stuff into the house that we don't need to. So this end is going to be nice and clean to start out with. And we have a pail set up to catch anything that might drip out. And then we're actually going to get started with our snaking. The cutters that go on the end of my snakes are all designed for specific purposes and are different sizes as well. So they're sized according to the size of the pipe. Here we have a 3-inch pipe, so we have a 3-inch cutter. Once it's in, we start snaking. We're rotating the snake. We're getting the sides of that pipe scraped. We're loosening all of that stuff up. And once we're in a few feet, we're going to stop. And now we're going to reintroduce the water. We're going to put that down in. And now we're going to do the snake some more. Meet a little resistance, pull it back a little bit, run it through that spot again. We want to make sure we get a nice, clean pipe. I think we probably got her. So now we're going to stop the water and remove the snake. And once we have the snake all the way out, we'll run the camera again just to make sure everything's the way it's supposed to be. There we go. Perfect example of things that are put down toilets and into lines that probably shouldn't be. These are baby wipes, or what they call flushable wipes, that will get caught inside of a pipe and not make it all the way out to the street. Now that we've run the snake and flushed it with the hose at the same time, we should have a pipe as clean as we're going to be able to get it. So now we're going to remove the snake, bring the camera equipment back, and take a look. The bottom of the pipe is just at about 5 or 6 o'clock right now. Right near the bottom, you can see how a lot of that stuff that was caught on the inside of the pipe has now been scraped back to the edge of the pipe. We're actually seeing the edges of the inside of the pipe right there. We can see water right about where it says 5 feet, so we know that's where the bottom of our pipe is. So our orientation is pretty good. The pipe looks like it's nice and round. I don't see any defects. There's no elliptical squashing or compressing going on here. There's still a little bit of buildup, and we can see that on the top part of the pipe, but it's not an issue. This is stuff that's probably been there for many, many years, and it's solidified. It's very hard. It's not going to go anywhere. Here at 7 feet, we can still see that we've got water, and that's never going to go away because that's the start of our belly. But the difference here is that we don't see anything floating on top of the water. There's a little bit of stuff right there, but that's not going to be a big issue. That's not sludge. We can see stuff moving around through the water here, and we're going to continue going. We know we're going to come out of this water once we get down to about that 15-foot mark where the belly rises again just before we go into the tank. So we'll be getting there in a second. We can still see there's a little bit of stuff suspended in the water here, but not real great. And we could actually even improve that by just sticking the hose down there and running it. But look at this. Look at how nice and clear that opening is. We come out of the water, and there's your tank. That's our drop-off right there, right in front of the camera. If we kept pushing, we'd fall into the tank. What you're looking at approximately at 9 o'clock, because the camera's not orientated correctly, remember, right about 3 o'clock now, between 2 and 3 o'clock is the bottom of the pipe. So right about 9 or 10 is actually the top lid to the septic tank that you're looking at, just beyond inside there. So if we bring this back a little bit, one of the things that I'll do right here is I'm going to pull the camera back until we're out of this water. Right here. And now we're going to stick the hose down in there. Right now we're right with the camera and the hose are together, and we can keep pushing the two of them together right through this low spot. And that really flushes. And that changes all of that muck and all of that sludge, everything that was in that low spot, to clear water all the way out. So now that should last a good long time before it needs to be cleaned again. Now we'll shut the water. And let things settle down a little bit. And you'll see even that piece that was sitting in the pipe is gone. And what you've got there is just some small particles that are suspended in the water. And now we're back out of the belly. That's about as good as you're going to get.